Hi, I'm Diane Dayton with LCTV 66, coming to you from our sports set downtown Lancaster in our studio. And today, we're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about LL League boys basketball and LL hoops. And I have quite a cast with me today. I have Andy Herr, I have John Graham, I have Warren Goodling, and I want you to know a little bit about them before we get into this discussion about everything we're going to talk about. Let's start with Coach Warren Goodling, the winningest coach in the history of Hempfield High School boys basketball. 8 LL League Coach of the Year awards. You also won the J. Freeland Christ Award, Lancaster County Sports Hall of Fame, and you still play competitively in the Masters Basketball Association. And also, in 2018, you were recruited to the USA National 65 Plus team that won the 2019 World Champions in Finland. Congratulations. So he's never going to stop playing, right? So was that information correct? I know I got this from reliable sources, but if not, feel free to add to, okay?
Well, 2023, we won the World Championship in Argentina.
So you just keep going and going, right?
Well, yeah, we had to skip 2021 because of the COVID year, but now this year will be 2025, so that championship tournament will be in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
It'll be fun.
Maybe we should all go along and watch. What do you think?
Let's do it.
That'd be great, right?
Around the world, right?
Now, John Graham, boy, you are a voice and a face that we have seen around for decades. That's a good thing. It's a real good thing. You are a longtime broadcaster with Suburban Cable, Channel 10. That was in the early 90s, right?
Right.
And you are a member of the Hall of Fame committees in the area, too, I understand.
The Hempfield Hall of Fame.
Okay, Hempfield Hall of Fame. And you were in radio with football and basketball as an announcer at WIOV and WGSA, right?
That's correct. That goes back to 75, so I'm an old guy.
You've also been a referee, correct?
A while I messed around with that until they threw me out, and I decided I was a better broadcaster than a referee.
Well, you also were a part of WLPA when they did sports too, right?
A little bit of that, yeah. We did some Millersville basketball. Did a lot of Mannheim Central football when Jeff Smoker was the kingpin, the quarterback over there that went on to Michigan State.
Wow.
We did their 2 years that he was the quarterback, and they lost both years in the Eastern Finals to Strathaven.
Wow. Well, I know that you and Warren have been doing some things together for quite a few years now, too, with color and play-by-play, right?
Yeah, we worked for you people for a little bit.
Yes, you did. We had you on the station with some games. You did a great job for us, by the way. Thank you so much. All right, let's tell you a little bit about Andy Herr. Okay, so Andy has been 11 years with LL Hoops, and he brings a fresh, youthful perspective to the coverage. Does that sound about right?
I like that.
That sounds good?
I
Okay.
like that.
All right. You're known for your thorough approach, and I think these two will agree with that. Go to Andy, ask Andy, they say. You've covered every team in the LL, and you have a feature on LL Hoops called Andy's Take, which provides a lot of detail, raps, and that sort of thing. And you also have updates on Twitter. So you're kind of like everywhere, right?
I try to be everywhere.
Okay. You also, I'm told, watch or attend over 80 LL games in a year. Is that correct?
I'm going to trust your math. I like that. However, it works out to where I see at least one game from every LL boys team every year is my goal. So add up how many teams are in the league, and then obviously multiple times, plus districts and states. I get around.
Yeah,
I do get around.
You do get around. So much so that some of the names that they've called you are Gym Rat, Hoops Junkie, and a basketball fanatic.
Degenerate would also be a good adjective to throw in there. That's also very apropos.
Yeah.
But yes, Diane, I appreciate the rundown. I feel after listening to both Warren and John that maybe I should say I'm merely Andy Herr as compared to their guys' resume. But yes, that is me in a nutshell.
But you are a third-generation Warwick basketball player too, right?
That's correct. Technically, 2 at Warwick and 1 via Lidditz High. My grandfather played at Lidditz High, and then my dad and I played at Warwick. And it's kind of funny how it seems like with each of the generations, the skill talent has dropped. So I guess a future PSA to my son is, if you make the team, I guess we'll throw a parade or something based on the way things have been going. But yes, I am very proud to say I'm a third generation Warrior.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm so glad that the three of you are here. And LL Hoops is entering its 25th year, I understand, and is the brainchild of Dell Jackson, correct?
Correct. This was Dell's brainchild, his baby. It's now old enough to legally vote and legally drink. I don't know if it can rent a car just yet, but it is certainly getting up there in age. And I know he loves doing it. I love doing it for him. I've been following it really since I was in school myself. It was so far ahead of its time. I was out going to games when I was just a little pup, and I fell in love with the McCaskey teams of the early 2000s and things like that. And that was about the only source that I could find that was full of like all LL League boys basketball info that I had. So kudos to Dell. We're trying to carry on his stewardship of the website, and we hope we're doing a good job. And we hear nothing but great reviews, and that means so much to us. So I know I can speak for these two gentlemen as well when they hear compliments like that. So yes, we're very happy to provide the service that we do.
Well, I've been looking at the website, and it's really comprehensive. I mean, you've got a lot of things going on there. Just tell us some specifics.
So we have my take, like you mentioned. We also have gotten into the live stream game via these two guys doing our color and play-by-play, which we're very fortunate to have. We've also dabbled in, we're going into the Mid-Penn area. We also have some York features that we do from time to time. And really what we want to stay true to our roots, to where we're only really looking at the LL League because we know that's our base and that's where we make our most hay. But as these guys know, I mean, once we get to districts, especially for the website, we see a ton of jump in traffic to where I want to know about Hershey, I want to know about Central Dauphin, we cover those teams, whether I do or some of our cohorts do, to where it's sort of an all-encompassing website to where, yes, we are primarily focused on the LL League from the first 2 months of the season or so, but then we would like to, branch out and cover the wider District 3 area and then into states and so on and so forth.
Sure, it broadens. You follow where it goes,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so do you guys. I mean, you're out there a lot. How many games do you do in a season with LL Hoops? Do you know about how many?
Anywhere from 10 to 15, depending on the year.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get some games that are added on as you get through the schedule, but I think right now we might be looking at maybe 10, 12 games, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I know you've done some things for us here at the station as well, which a great job, because the two of you have such synergy and energy with you. Go ahead. I know you want to say something about that.
The big thing is I've done it for a long time in different venues and different mediums, be it TV or radio, but really what kind of brought me out was out of retirement, if you will, was Dell's urging, and he said, look, you're going to work with Warren, and Warren and I go back for years. We've been always good buddies. I'm a Hempfield grad, so I had a little bit of, liking that in that direction. And when I was doing cable games for suburban cable back in the 90s, some of Warren's heydays, and I did a lot of Hempfield games and got to interview him, and we kind of developed a rapport between the two of us, through the years. So I feel very comfortable working with this guy.
Yeah. You kind of know almost what the other person's going to do when, don't you?
Yeah, I would say that after listening to Warren, I've learned a lot more basketball just from him doing the analysis, for sure.
And I know he's learned things from you as well, too, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a good chemistry because we sort of fit together and we sort of know when to talk and when not to talk. And when he talks, I'm quiet, and then I have to add something. I get that break to add something, so it's all good, yeah.
These two are good to have around, aren't they?
You better believe it.
Yeah.
You better believe it.
So let's talk a little bit more about what we expect this season, too. And Warren, I know you got to talk to some of the coaches when we were at the LNP Media Day. Some of your thoughts.
Well, right now everybody's on the optimistic end of things. Everybody's undefeated for the most part, and the season's starting. But, we're really going to find out. I always say the first 10 games, you don't know what's going to happen. But once you get into 10 games, then you can sort of get a feel of what's going on. But like the first couple games, you still really don't know. After 10 games, we'll have a really good feel. But there's a lot of optimistic teams in the LL League right now, as they should be in this time of year.
Yeah. Your thoughts, John?
I would have to agree with that. There's been a lot of turnover, but there's always the LL League never disappoints. Like I said, a lot of turnover, and a number of teams have a lot of kids back, and it should be a very competitive, I think, balance. Cedar Crest, the defending champion, lost 4 of 5 starters. They got their big kid back, who's 6'7", and as Coach Tommy Smith was quoted, he said, "I got 8 seniors." The LL Hoops Day that we had, media day that we had, he brought 8 kids into that event because he said, "I didn't know who to choose." And the key about Cedar Crest is they have those 8 kids, and maybe there's only 1 starter back. But as Tommy Smith said, those 8 kids scrimmaged against my first team all last year. So I think that was a really good point. But there seems to be a lot of balance and parity at this point. But like Warren says, it'll take a 10, 12 games maybe to separate the haves from the have-nots.
Yeah, well, I know you have a lot of thoughts because you were there too for the LMP Media Day, so I know you were checking things out. Go ahead, tell us.
Well, to your point that you mentioned off top, I have seen everyone at least once every year, and then I do catch a lot of these teams in the off season as well. So I'd like to think I have a kind of a good base of knowledge on what I'm working with. And Diane, I'll be honest with you, like I could make some prognostications and predictions, but I have no faith or no confidence in making any of those picks. I think this year is wide open. The section that I'm most looking forward to is Section 4, which is our smaller enrollment type schools of your 1A, your AAA, in districts with those types of schools, your Lancaster Mennonites, your Lancaster Country Days. Coach, I'm sure you can allude to this, but I know we were just talking about Section 1. I cannot remember a year where it is just kind of throw a dart at something and see who comes out. I don't remember it being this balanced without no top-heavy favorite.
Yeah, I think everybody in Section 1 feels they have a chance to, number 1, make the playoffs.
Right.
And number 2, perhaps win the section. But it is wide open with, Cedar Crest having a lot of inexperienced guys, but they have that winning tradition, and that's what they're going to really thrive on. And, Hempfield has a young team. Coach Bellew lost some really good players, but he has a good nucleus coming up. Township, I think, is on their way back up. McCaskey's building. Lebanon to see what they can do. And it's going to be very interesting to see what shakes out in Section 1.
Yeah. Go ahead. I know you've got more going on in that head. I can see it.
So then I'll jump to Section 2, and I think you have, in my opinion, 3 prohibitive type favorites, if you will. I would say put Warwick, Garden Spot, and Cocalico into a mix, throw them into a hopper. I have no idea who's going to come out on top. And then you have teams like Conestoga Valley and Ephrata that I think are going to make life very miserable for those top 3 teams and be a serious threat. In Section 3, that's a little more interesting. LS has sort of ruled the roost for years and years and years to where it doesn't matter how many guys they graduate, how many guys they have coming back. Like Coach just mentioned with Cedar Crest, they have a winning tradition. You cannot replicate that. That is so real and so authentic, and that's so important. Donegal has a college commitment already, and Sawyer Floyd, he's going to be a very good player in Section 3. Manheim Central is coming down from Section 2 to Section 3. That was a state playoff team a year ago. So, as I mentioned, I can make prognostications, but I would not bet the farm on any one of those picks. It's wide open this year. It should be a lot of fun. And Coach, we were talking before we went on air, is this maybe the year I know I really fall in love with it. It's like, man, is this going to be the year that one of those like Section 4 teams makes a push? If we look at history, it's hard to imagine a team that's maybe not from Section 1 or Section 2 doing so. But shoot, there's a lot of firepower down there in Section 3 and Section 4.
Yeah, there is. And I think the mentality is sometimes with Section 3 and Section 4, they're really looking forward to districts. But if they have the right mentality, let's go and win the league,
right,
and put that out there and not sell themselves short, that would help their job to go try to do that.
Yeah.
And you got Lancaster Mennonite, 4-time District 3 champions in their particular class, and they got 3 or 4 key kids back that could cause some problems. And I think our first game this year, we open up with them and Country Day, and Country Day has almost everybody back, so that should be a great tilt right from the get-go. And I know Andy talked about LS. I guess one little wrinkle early in the season with LS is they're still playing football, and I'm not the guru that this guy is, but I imagine there's some football players that are integral parts in that basketball team also, so they may get off to a little bit of a rocky start. Who knows?
You want to comment on that?
I can. Yes, typically LS does have a lot of football carryovers, but one of them who is not a football player is Chase Smucker. And as we mentioned with Sawyer Floyd going to Bloomsburg, well, so too is Chase Smucker. So we're going to have sort of an interesting Bloomsburg on Bloomsburg duel in Section 3 between him and Sawyer in LS and Donegal. And I mean, Chase is, we've seen him. I mean, he's on the short list for sure of not just best scorers, but best players in the league. I mean, you could almost pencil in LS for a 20-0 start on the scoreboard and then just see what happens from there. He's that talented and that good.
Yeah, I saw him play this summer with the York Ballers, and he was playing with a number of very good players, and he was the point guard. And, you know, he scored some points, but his overall game, his defense, the way he distributed the ball, the way he handled himself out there in big games in the AAU circuit was impressive.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm already excited. I mean, I told you guys that basketball gets me through the winter. So, so I'm excited with what you're talking about, too. What else do you want us to really know about LL Hoops? And it is llhoops.com, correct?
.com, correct. We do have a 50th anniversary book that is now a few years old, but it's I mean, you're not going to find a more chronological history on a boys basketball conference than the work that Dell put together and just orchestrating that. You can find that on Amazon. I believe you can also purchase that on our store. We have a store on our website, so you can find it there. But yeah, we're obviously very excited for the year to start. There's no better therapy for me and a better way to charge my batteries than being in gyms and watching games every night. So
Yeah.
looking forward to it for sure.
Absolutely. You're on social media, too. Is that correct? Which platforms are you on?
I am on Twitter, although I guess I have to legally call it X now.
Yes, okay.
But Andy Brackets is my Twitter handle, or X handle. Again, I keep tripping
I know,
myself.
but we all know what you mean,
I know.
right? Yeah.
So you can find me there. I like to do some comprehensive takes on sort of the winners of the night every night to kind of give an overarching feel of where they're at in the season and maybe what they're looking forward to. You know, llhoops.com, or llhoops, that Twitter account at llhoops we also use as well. So we're out and about. We started getting into the Instagram game, the Facebook game. So I don't know if there's a social media site out there that we have not utilized yet, but I'm sure we'll find it.
Well, that's what I kind of thought.
Yeah.
So you'll find it.
Yes.
So let's bring together some thoughts here. What do we need to look at, or what is your feeling about getting out there and starting very soon and covering some of these games?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's hard to believe that it's here, but I mean, some games have already been played. I know Warwick beat Donegal the other night, and I was impressed that Octorara knocked off Downingtown East.
Wow.
But Downingtown, that's a huge school district, so that's got to be a feather in the cap for Octorara. The other thing I'm looking forward to is Section 2, those schools, Warwick, Cocalico, Ephrata, and I'm missing somebody, but they're the schools that I started out covering 50 years ago when that book started.
Oh, wow.
1975 at GSA and IOV. We had all those, a guard spot I guess is the fourth one, but we had a lot of those skirmishes between those four northern rivals, if you will. And as you mentioned, Warwick being up there in Garden Spot, and I think I read that Ephrata has a new coach. Obviously, we interviewed him last week, but he has 6 of the top 7 kids back from his team. So
Wow. Okay.
there should be some great battles up north between those squads.
Yeah. Warren, some thoughts?
No, just thinking that we're looking at all the sections. It's going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top. Let's see in January who's the front runner, and then see if they can hold everybody off. Or maybe there won't even be a front runner. Maybe everybody will be jammed in there. But it's going to be fun to watch that unfold. Always is.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, I know between the three of you, you could probably write another book about 50 years of something and cover some interesting topics as well, and how you can keep on playing basketball. What is it, Warren? I've got to ask you. I mean, people go, you are still playing? And you are, because I know you're in the gym, you're taking care of yourself, and you're still playing. But there's something about basketball, isn't it?
Well, when I was at Hempfield, I played a lot there before school, after school, during the summer with faculty and obviously our basketball players. And I still play some pickup ball with some ex-Hempfield players, and that's a lot of fun. But I never really stopped.
Right.
I played all through my life, and I don't know when I'll stop. I'll stop when I stop.
When
but,
you stop.
Yeah, but I haven't taken up golf yet because I still play basketball.
Because you still play basketball. And I know you guys are going to keep doing what you do, right?
Well, I'm all for it. Dell's been a big asset to get this thing rolling, and Andy, like I said, he's all over the place, and with his enthusiasm, like I said, I'm enjoying getting back into the play-by-play and working with these guys. So
Well, we look forward to hearing you and seeing the games. Give me a final thought, Andy.
Oh boy. Like I said, this is going to be one of the more fun seasons that I can remember. And for us going into our 25th year as a website, I think it's going to be one heck of a year to celebrate that occasion. And sort of like you just mentioned with Warren, the reason I like doing it is I've really known nothing else. I grew up going to games when I was a little guy. Played at Warwick, although more likely sat at Warwick, but I was still on the roster and I was on the team. And then I went away to college at Nebraska, and I sort of missed it. That was about 4 years I couldn't be in the local scene, and that's why when I came back home, I reached out to Dell because he was looking for some extra help, and I'm like, shoot, I'll do this. Like I said, I'm a degenerate, a junkie, whichever adjective you want to put on it, and we. At Warwick, we only really interacted with the same 6 teams, even in the summer. We only saw you guys at Hempfield and Township, and it's I know Peckway Valley's in the league, but I have no idea how to get there. Yeah. So let me see some of these new schools I've never seen before. And for me, that's what's been so much fun is, getting to know some of these schools who don't really get a ton of pub and a ton of love all the time, and just giving a voice to them, because that meant so much to me when I was growing up. If I can mention someone's name in an article and how they scored, I mean, that means everything to me, because again, back in my day, if you saw your name in a box score, you knew who it was and what that meant, but no one else did. But that was sort of your claim to fame and we've advanced past that, and I'd like to think we do a good job of that. So.
Well, I think you do, and I can't wait to experience all of it. Thank you so much for being here today. You've added so much to this show. In fact, I almost think we should bring you back toward the end of the season and maybe talk about what's going on. I know you'll have something to talk about.
Well, at least I didn't make my prognostication, so you're not going to be able to clip that and use that against me.
We can't use that against
So I appreciate that.
So thank you so much for joining today. And it's sports. We've been talking about LLHoops.com, and we've been talking about the LL League Boys Basketball. Thanks for joining us. I'm Diane Dayton.